Hello, I'm Wendy and thank you for coming. Today I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about how sketching can be similar to meditation. There's lots of ways that you can incorporate sketching into your life so that it actually has the same effect as meditation. And I'm going to show you exactly how, but I want to do it while I'm sketching. So if you want to follow along and sketch as well, I encourage you to find a subject. I went out to my yard and just cut some flowers. If you have that available to you, that's great. If not, you can just pick anything in your room, or you can use something like this, which has lots of illustrations in it. You can just copy those and try it out, or you can find pictures on the internet that have no copyright. It's how sketching is like meditation, and I think a lot more fun. So let's get into it. So I'm just using a sketchbook today. This is one, it's called Heavyweight Drawing Paper for Use with Wet and Dry Media by the only sketchbook you'll ever need, the B Paper Company Professional Series. I've had this one for years, and I have lots of sketchbooks and watercolor paper and things like that, but I like this one because it's a nice smooth surface and it also takes water well. Today I am going to be using my watercolors just to add some color to my sketches, but I wanted to start by just showing you what I'm sketching. I've got this little geranium with all these little buds ready to come up, and my flower pots went crazy with snapdragons this year, so I cut one of these. They're all kinds of colors. They reseed themselves and they kind of took over all the pots that I have in my front yard. So instead of actually going out and buying a whole bunch of other flowers, I just let them kind of have their day. I did notice, however, it's been hot and they're quite dry, so I had to water them. So this is a little bit limp and wilted because it's been dry today. However, it does add a little bit of kind of a cool shape with how the leaves hang. And then this is a little chrysanthemum my husband brought home, one for fall. When I see the chrysanthemums, I go, oh no, not yet, not yet. I don't really want fall yet because I love summer and it never seems to last long enough where I live. But anyway, it's nice and bright. And so I cut this little piece and it has several buds on it and just barely opening flowers. These ones are a little more challenging to draw, but you can also simplify things. So we'll be doing a little bit of that. So I'm going to start with the geranium. Now you will be seeing it with a slightly different angle from what I'm seeing. So I might just prop it up on something because I want to see it more like this. I know. I'm just going to pop it in here, which has no water in it actually. Make it a little bit wet. Maybe that'll help. So this way, I'm not going to draw this, only the flower itself. I think I'll just do it like that because I like to see those flowers. While I'm drawing, I'm going to be going back and forth with the notes that I have about how to get started on sketching and why it's such a great idea, and also the benefits and the value of it for you. I may or may not get through drawing all these things, depends how it goes, and I'm not aiming to have a really long video. So one of the first things that you need to know is these are the sum total of the materials you need. That is paper and a pen. Now you can use pencil. Of course you can. However, I like to use pen because I don't know, I just love the look of it, but also it keeps you from getting too fussy about things. So when I draw this, I'm just looking from here to here, like this. And if it doesn't come out exactly right, I'm okay with that. So we've got this one that comes, there's another petal in here, kind of brushes up against that one. It's a little hard to tell because they're exactly the same color. I think it's kind of like that. This comes down a little bit more like this. And the thing is too, you can correct what you do. It doesn't really matter. We've got some little stamens or something in the middle here. And then come over like this. So if you want to follow along, feel free to use my flower here. Or you can just watch and then try later what you want to do. One thing I need to remember is what goes over what, for example, right there. And it's one of those things where I went, oh, doesn't matter. Anyway, that's a start for this one. And then there's some little plant part in there. Now I'm going to just kind of wing it here. So as far as materials, all you need is paper and a pen. Another wonderful thing about sketching is that you can do it anywhere. So that means if you carry just a little notebook in your bag or in your pocket or in the car, you can basically sketch anywhere. And because I want to do more sketching in my life, the other day I went to a dollar store and bought a little sketchbook for the car. It's only like 3.5 by 5, something like that. So it's easy to throw in my bag, but I don't want to always carry one because purses get heavy. Another big plus is that sketching requires very little energy. And I find that's a really big plus because a lot of times I don't have a lot of energy. Keep in mind that I'm not aiming for perfection at all. Another basically lovely thing about sketching is that it focuses your mind and occupies it with figuring out the lines and the movement of your hand and that sort of thing. So you can see that it's kind of a slow process. Now it doesn't have to be, because there's some kind of sketching that's just like 1 minute sketch. Okay, now the fourth thing I wanted to mention is eye-hand coordination. Sketching is really good for tactile movement and just getting your eyes and your hands to move together, because you're not removed from it. It's not like a screen that you're looking at or watching TV or something like that where it's just your eyes. This has your eyes and your hands working together. So for that reason, it's really good for your brain. Now, I don't have a lot of science behind that, but you can easily look it up. Another thing is you don't have to be good at it to actually get value from it. So I'm going to put a little bit of this really super bright pink here, which is called Opera Rose, or just plain Opera. Another great thing is about sketching is you don't have to be good at it, because the more you do it, the better you get at it, but you don't have to be good at it to start with. It's so easy to just pick up a pen and a piece of paper and start making marks of any kind that you like. This is ink and wash. This is what it's called when you have ink and watercolor. So you draw it first and then you wash over it. So it's a watercolor, it's an ink sketch with watercolor in it. All right, another reason that sketching is like meditation is that you have nothing to prove. And I think that's kind of a big one, because so often everything we do, we have to prove ourselves. But a sketchbook is like a diary. Can be completely private. And in fact, no one even needs to know that you're attempting to sketch, because you can just do it whenever you want and however you want and as secretly as you want. If you want to sketch just to calm yourself down, you can just go into the bathroom and take out your little sketchbook and sit down and draw something that you see. There, that's coming together. The great thing about sketching is when you start, if all you do is stick people, it still counts. And every time you sketch, you'll get better. You don't have to sketch out of your head. You don't have to sketch from memory. You can sketch from real life. You can sketch from, like I mentioned before, a book. You can sketch from other people's work. Like, for example, these are all illustrations done by hand. And you can just copy them for your own practice. Or you can use something like this, which is a beautiful book that I got recently. And you can use the scenes in it as your subject and just look at this. It's so gorgeous. But you could pick one flower and try that, or the shape of a vase and try that. and just fill the book with your pictures. Also important, I would say, is don't compare your sketches to anybody else's, because that's the recipe for finding yourself wanting. So when you're sketching, there's no competition. There's no competition in art anyway. But if you compare yourself to other people and their work, especially on the internet where it's so easy to compare yourself to someone who's been doing something for a very long time and just seeing yourself as hopeless because you can't possibly be there. So the important thing here is keep it private as much as you want. If you want to show people what you're doing, that's fine. But for the purposes of sketching as a meditation, I would say just do it for yourself. And if all you can come up with is scribbles, that is totally fine. Now, I think I need a finer brush for this. So let's get one. This is a size 6. Now, my little buds are still wet, so I'm a little bit hesitant to dive in there. So I'm going to try and paint them and not touch anything. It's pretty nervy, hey? But you can see how it requires concentration, which in turn means you can't be worrying about anything else. The Bible says, don't worry about tomorrow. It has enough trouble of its own. Can you, by worrying, add anything to your height? Now, this is really fine work, and this might not be your thing at all. I just wanted to keep it kind of small, and I love watercolor, so I thought I would just add watercolor for the fun of it. But if watercolor doesn't sound fun to you, well, you get to choose. The more you sketch, the better you'll get, and the better you get, the more you'll enjoy it. So I would say persevere. First of all, get over your fear of trying something new. Persevere. Do it every day for 3 weeks. Just make a commitment to yourself. Do it every day for 3 weeks and see what happens. I've moved on kind of from the actual sketching, but this in final analysis is still a sketch. So I'm going to just put a little bit of a background around it in blue. I like this kind of look where there's a bit of a frame almost. And I can make the edges disappear by just adding water and moving it out away from the subject. I would like to know, has watching this calmed you down? Has it made you feel better? Because for me, doing it has done that for me. I had lots of things on my mind. I have to prepare for some things coming up, and I'm supposed to be here, do this, do that, get that done, all those sort of things. But while I'm doing this, I think of none of those. Now I'm just going to turn this around because I'm right-handed and this is where the paint is. I like when the white shows around a subject because it kind of makes it shine a little bit, like gives it a little bit of a frame, or it makes it pop or something. The great thing about doing this kind of work for yourself is that you get to do it for yourself. It just doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If you want to show people your sketches or your sketchbooks later on, that's entirely up to you. I would really love to hear your comments about what you think of this kind of video, but also how you feel about something like sketching becoming part of your life and part of your meditation, or something to calm you down, or for mental health, because it can add all those things to your life. I'm not going to do my poor wilted snapdragon or my little chrysanthemums, though I think I might put them in water. Please subscribe to my channel and click the little bell so you get the notifications, and I'll see you next time.